Hi.
How's it going?
Good.
Oh, you just went on mute there. Oh, there you are.
Oh, I am here. Okay. No, I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, I'm excited to make some falafels. I've never made them before.
Yeah, and they're so easy. You'll be amazed how easy it is.
Yeah, I looked at the recipe and I was like, that's it? Really?
Yeah.
I still need to be watching what you're doing because I've never done it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, the falafel that we're making tonight is baked. Typically it's deep fried, so we're making a little bit of a healthier version.
Which is good.
Yeah, and we'll explain like there's only like one teeny tiny tweak you have to make in order for it to be baked instead of fried, and even still
Oh, okay.
not that big of a deal.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, good. So, yes, I might skip the eggplant because I'm in a time crunch today. So,
No worries.
yeah.
Rahul, you can take off your mask too. I just noticed you're still wearing it. Since you're the only one in that kitchen, so.
I'm so used to wearing it,
I know. And there's only actually going to be 2 of you on tonight. So if you want to leave yourselves unmuted, that would be fine.
Okay.
I'll explain. Hi, Shogo. Thanks for joining us.
Hi. Hi. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you. So yeah, there's just the 2 of you tonight. It's kind of like a private class. So if you want to keep yourselves unmuted, you can. If you feel more comfortable muting and using the chat, you can do that too. I'll be watching the chat throughout.
Sure.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. All right. So we've got you both here. So yeah, I'm just to go into the Zoom stuff to start off. So I just talked about the mute. You can use the chat box. We've got the 2 camera views, like the overhead view and the view of Chef Rahul. We're also recording this, so I can send you the recorded video by the end of this week. I just have to like edit out some things at the beginning and the end, but yeah, so I'll send you the recorded version later on. So yeah, thank you both for joining. I'm so happy that you're here and that you liked us enough the first time to come back a second time. So thank you very much. Rahul's in the actual kitchen. I have a fake kitchen background behind me because I'm in an office that's not very pretty. So our learning objectives for tonight, again, we're going to be talking about the Mediterranean diet because there's so much to cover within this category. And one big thing we're going to be focusing on is heart health. So we have 3 parts of this class tonight that are focused on heart health. The fact that all of this is plant-based. Another is that there's lower sodium in all of our recipes. So we're using herbs and spices and aromatics for flavor rather than adding a ton of sodium. And the third thing is that we're using nuts in a couple different recipes. We have pine nuts and peanuts, and nuts are very heart healthy because of their unsaturated fats and fiber content. And the culinary learning objectives tonight, Rahul is going to talk about how to combine different flavors from different Mediterranean cultures. So we're kind of picking and choosing for the meal tonight from different countries that border the Mediterranean Sea, but the flavors are all similar, so they complement each other. And he's going to go into what chefs call a plan of work. So when you have several recipes to cook, you can figure out how to make them all work together and you end up at the same time. Everything's ready at the same time. So I'll pass it to Rahul to go into the food safety and the plan of work.
So hello everyone, welcome again. And now we are here and I'm so glad to have you all. And now we're gonna see like how we proceed today with our Mediterranean diet and we see like what is the basis of that food. So like just to give a great example of that, what we have chosen, a very common food that everybody likes is falafel, which is very Mediterranean, and it's chickpeas which are heavily grown in southern Italy and northern Africa, and a lot of other ingredients, and we have kept this whole thing vegetarian for today. So see, it is more plant-based, and we see like how we can not be using any animal protein on this cuisine today. So now, first of all, as we progress through the whole cooking process today, a couple of things. Of course, safety first. when you're cooking at home, you will be chopping some food which I already have chopped. So having a cut glove in your hand is very, very important. And cut glove is one of the thing that you need to have all the time. So like, even though if I'm not going to cut anything, I always have it on me. And cut glove is pretty easy. Like you put a regular glove, and then after that you put another cut glove on that, just like this. And then you will have another glove on top of it, right? But however, I'm not going to use it right now, so I'm just going to pull it out because I'm just doing regular cooking. But however, beside sharp objects in the kitchen, we have hot objects, or some objects that are extremely cold, as if you are pulling something out of the freezer. So that time you need to have the oven mitts, or I usually use kitchen towels. So that gives you insulation on your hand with the hot or cold. That's very important. And of course, it's your kitchen at the home. You have to see that like the floor is not slippery and there is no other unwanted items that could hurt you around. Okay? So then we begin with that. So now here what we're going to look at the safety also. Since we talk about the physical safety right now, and we also look at the food safety. So like any of the food products that we are using today. So some of them are sensitive, and one of them are the dairy products. So we're going to be using yogurt. So we have to see that it's in right temperature, as if you are doing at home, and being very careful with it so you don't get sick. Because remember, what you will cook now and what we will cook now, it could be consumed in the couple of coming few days. So it should be safe until then, the end of the cycle. So that's very, very important. So another thing that we're going to see is, so now I'm going to tell you about what we're going to cook today. So we're going to cook today is a falafel recipe. Now everybody has tasted falafel all over, but now the process how it is done, we will see it. Because if you go in a supermarket, you get a ready-made mix, and nobody thinks beyond it how it is done. So that's what we're going to start from scratch, and we do the falafel. Then after that, we're going to do two accompanying sauce going with that. One of them is a chermoula, which is not cooked. You don't need to cook that. Okay, it's just a blended sauce, like a chopped mixed sauce, like a pesto kind of sauce with a very simple herbs that are easily available all over in all the supermarkets. And then after that, we're going to do a yogurt sauce with dill and cucumber and peanuts in that. And that peanut brings a real nice crunch to it, and it's really, really goes real well with that. And then after that, to add something sweet and sour and different, we're going to do eggplant. And now how the eggplant are going to get sweet and sour? So they're going to get sweet and sour with balsamic and pomegranate molasses, and we're going to use some pine nuts with that and some mint. So they all go well together, and this all creates a real harmony together to go inside a pita bread, to make a sandwich with some lettuce in there, any kind of lettuce, some cucumbers, some tomatoes, some onion, and make some real healthy sandwich that could be a lunch or could be a dinner. And of course, then there are many additions to that, hummus and all that. But some of them are very common, so we do not like. We have done them so many times, and then like it's a very common thing. But down the line, we will refer to them as well. So now again, as we talk about that, we have to make the falafel, which is the hot item. Then we have to make a cold item. There is a chermoula sauce, and I'm sure you have the recipe over there. And then after that, we have to make the cucumber, dill, yogurt, and peanut sauce. Then we have to make the eggplants. So we have 4 recipes that we're dealing with. But now the idea is, now we talk about something different, because 1 recipe or 2 recipes is fine. But when you are dealing with 4 recipes, so the idea is that we have to look back into time and plan it in such a way that we reach the finish line at the same time. So we have to start the different products at different times. So we have to first evaluate and make a strategic plan what we're going to start with first. And there are many varying factors that go along with it. And those factors are like equipment that you have available, the time, the most important is the time it goes to prepare that recipe, and so on forward. So we're going to start with the falafel first, and which is going to take the longest time. So the plan of work, how it is called in the kitchen, is that we're going to first make the falafel. We start with the falafel, which falafel requires soaking of the garbanzo beans, which is 6 hours ahead to 12 hours ahead of time, which I did already, and you should have in your kit as well if you're cooking. And so that is one thing we have started already before. So if it was a day before plan, then after that we start with the rest of the stuff that need to be mise en place. So that is called mise en place, that you prep everything ahead of time and there is a plan. So you write down a process, how you're going to plan it, and then you go from there. So like example, I need onion for this, I need garlic for this, I need this for this, all these items. So they are all prepped ahead of time. And so is like if I have garlic in this recipe and the other recipe, so I prep both the garlic at the same time and then split out. So it saves me time and makes us more efficient in that. So it's all about efficiency and not to be frustrated and enjoy cooking how it's supposed to be. But that takes a little bit of plan, because the plan is that you plan now to enjoy it later. That's what the game is here. So now coming back to how we're going to do it successively, we're going to move from one recipe to the other one. So we're going to make the falafel mix, we're going to form it, and we're going to keep it aside, and I'll tell you why. Then after that we go down and we're going to work with a little bit of our cucumber sauce, and then we stop and then tell you why as we reach there. Then after that we're going to make the chermoula. We start it, we finish it off, put it away, then we go back and we're going to start making our we're going to start baking our falafel, and then after that we're going to finish the yogurt sauce and then put that aside, and then we'll start with the eggplant last, such that when the eggplant is ready, our falafels are coming out hot and they're ready to be consumed. So it's not that we made all of it, and if you're doing it in one stretch, this is the way that the succession works, right? So this is the game plan, or it is the plan for plan of work, how it's supposed to be. So now we're going to start with falafel. So let me talk. Falafel could be made around any of the soaked grains, mostly like it could be made without black eyed peas, it could be made from regular garbanzo or anything. But now, very important thing, the garbanzo canned garbanzo is not very desirable because it's cooked and it's got a lot of water content in that, but in a different way, because it's all cooked and it's all mush. But however, when we soak the regular chickpea that you find in the store, a dried chickpea, you soak them in 3 times the water because they swell. So you one quantity of the dried garbanzo to 3 parts of water, and you wash it first, and then you soak it and you put inside the fridge. That's it, and you leave it for 24 hours. So the beans the osmosis start, and they start soaking in water, and they get bigger and larger, because from this process they are trying to be a tree, a small plant. Okay, so there's a process. So now, and then that it helps us to get it softened, and also it incorporates a lot of water in there. Next is of course for flavoring, onions, then garlic, then cilantro, and some people prefer to put mint, za'atar, but this is the basic, okay? And then after that, once these are all chopped, then we have the flavoring, that's going to be the cumin powder, then we have the little bit of cayenne pepper powder, and then we have black pepper, salt, and we have the baking powder. Now, this is the baking powder, and I'll like to explain why this is here. So it is to make it a little bit fluffy, such that it is not like a dense, it's not a golf ball, it's like it has got a soft bite to it. So that's why this is a leavening agent. So what happens when it goes in and reacts with water, when you put the baking powder in there, it has got 2 components of it. So the first component is the acid, and then the base. When they both react to each other in presence of water and little heat, they start, up to a certain amount of heat, they start producing carbon dioxide gas, and that makes it fluff a little bit. So it makes small air pocket, and so it is a little spongy. It's not very visibly spongy, but it is a little lighter, and you feel it that it's not dense, right? And then after that, there is a lemon juice. But very important thing, the moment we add the baking powder and the lemon juice, they start reacting, and we have to be very close to bake it, because from there, the process of making the carbon dioxide, it escalates, and then after that it flattens out, and then after it falls down in certain time. So it becomes inert after some time, because they have done their job. Okay, so that's how we're going to start now. So now to start that, you can do it in a blender at home, and I would just give an example. Like if you have a blender, like something similar with a jar, like a bar blender, so you would not fill it up all the way. You would go start little. Little is better, because there is no way that you can circulate the chopped and unchopped properly inside. So you just going to be going here, because it's really hard for the machine to work on that. So now what I want to do is, we have seen all the ingredients. I'm going to just move it around and move my food processor right here, and then after that we're going to go see right here. So this is a commercial food processor. It has got a knife in there, and the only difference between this blender and this is that this one runs at a slow speed, so you have to control the speed on that. So now we start here, simple process. Of course, now everything is basically getting chopped, so there is no much skill required here. It's very easy, and you will see how easy it goes. So we put our garbanzo beans in there. We put our measured amount of onion. Then after that, we put our garlic. Then we put salt. We put cumin powder. Then we're gonna put our black pepper inside, and we're gonna start the chopping process.
Okay, before we chop, are you all on the same page? Have you gotten all the ingredients in?
Not yet, not yet. So I just,
We can make.
just the spices. Okay, I'll do it. Go ahead, yeah.
So chickpeas, onion, garlic, cumin, salt, pepper, and baking powder, right?
No, not yet baking
And the
powder.
cayenne pepper?
Not
Yeah, not yet the cayenne pepper also, not yet.
Not
Okay.
yet.
Yeah,
So
because
baking powder and cayenne, not yet.
not yet.
Okay, so
Got it.
just salt, pepper, cumin.
Salt, pepper, cumin, onion, garlic, and garbanzo. And no water in the garbanzo. You have to strain it out. Okay.
And this is something that you can also like, you can kind of eyeball it. The measurements that we gave you are the measurements that we're doing in this recipe that Rahul's following, but you can sort of eyeball it if you haven't measured it out. The spices, you can do however heavy or light on the spices you want. So that's no worry, but just know that spice is where all the flavor comes from. Yes, we are adding salt in this, but the black pepper, the cumin, the cayenne, all that stuff is where the flavor comes from.
Okay.
All right, so time to blend it up.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So we're gonna start chopping this, and then we go here. Hold on. Chop it. One moment.
Oh, gotta plug it in.
Yeah, I got it. I got my induction cooker ready to go. So. So we let it go. And then we stop and scrape it. Okay? Scrape the side. So the unchopped pieces, they get stuck to the wall.
If I would say scrape it with a spoon or a knife,
Yeah.
with your hand. Rahul does this every day of his life, so he's a little bit more practiced. And you can see through the hole in the top that it's still like little pieces.
Chunky.
It's how you want falafel to be. Falafel is not completely pureed. It's got,
Chunky.
and especially by using the dried chickpeas that you soak instead of using canned chickpeas, that's also how you can get that good texture.
Now we're gonna go here, scrape it one more time. Put it there. See no big chunks. Now at this point, have you blended it? It should look something like this. Okay. So it should come up and look something like, so it is like basically if you look at it, it's formable right now.
So is it okay if I add some water to mine then? Because it's awfully dry.
Yeah, so we will get to that point in a second. Okay, so like
Okay.
basically if you are, when we're making the base, so here we do not want a soup, we want it to hold itself. So like how it is holding right here.
Yeah.
And then from here you have to judge, because that's like something like you make the decision on the spot, whether it's going to be runny, too much juicy, or otherwise, because we don't want something so thin, because remember you can always add water, but it's very hard to take it out, because if you try to squeeze it out, it will go with the flavor and everything is diluted then, no? So like we come to this, and this was all the natural water that the garbanzo beans had soaked in there, that gives the forming capability already, but not yet. This is just the base, right?
And we're also going to be adding some lemon juice in it.
And a little bit more water.
So, yeah, so there will be more liquid being added.
Okay, so more liquid is going to go inside, and especially because if you may look at any of the falafel recipe that is going with dried chickpea which are hydrated and then drained and chopped, they will never recommend to add water to that. But in our case, we will have to add water because we are not frying it, we are baking it. And in the baking process, the evaporation of the moisture is at a higher percentage. So we have to substitute that. And then that substitution will be the lemon juice in the water. Of course, lemon juice goes in the regular recipe, but because of we are baking it, so we have to doctor the recipe to add a little bit of water in there. So it is like, it does not come out like hard, you don't want something like too crumbly, like
Right.
that. Right. So now at this point, we have your cilantro. You put a cilantro there.
And if you're worried that it's too dry right now, you can always add more water at the end.
More water, yeah.
So we can add the remainder of the ingredients and see if that helps with the moisture.
Yep. 1.5 tablespoon of water, lemon juice. Okay. And then we adding the cayenne pepper now. Cayenne pepper. And of course, you may add the spice of your choice in this, because this is a very, it's like a blank canvas right now, because we have made the base. Now from here, you can add any kind of spice that you may prefer to adding there. Okay. So now,
All right. So we got the cilantro, lemon juice, water, and cayenne pepper. So that's the rest of the ingredients, right? There's nothing left?
No, I have the baking powder left right now.
Oh, baking powder, baking powder.
Yes.
Okay.
That is because I'll get to that saying that it's a leavening agent. Look.
Right. So you want to add it at the very end.
Correct.
Okay.
Let it run for a second. Now, turn it off, and then we are done for this moment with this machine. And so, how are we doing there? Have we reached at the same spot? Like, are we looking at the same product how it is? So we can figure this out.
Had this happen where in your Vitamix, when it's too clumpy, there's like this kind of smell that comes out, and then it just stops working the motor.
Oh, okay. So at that time, because the motor gets hot and you got to wait a little bit for it to cool down,
Okay.
So
Yeah, it was so clumpy, it wasn't moving.
Okay.
And so now it's come completely out. So I'll have to wait now.
So there is a safety switch in there because it prevents it from getting overheated.
Right.
And then it trips it to stop, So like
Okay.
it happens to me as well, But what I do, I have learned my way over the years, and when I have to process something like a lot of work from my blender or my RoboCook, I leave them inside the freezer overnight, and then the next day I take it out and use them. So before they would get super hot, I am like 75% done, So this
When
is
you
a
put
couple of,
it in the freezer overnight, I didn't understand that. I'm sorry.
I leave it inside the fridge overnight.
You leave what? The blender or the
Yeah.
ingredients?
No, the blender itself, the motor. So it cools down, and you starting with a cold motor, So it gradually takes a long time to heat up,
Ah.
Yeah. So like
Interesting. Okay.
these are a couple of tricks, So
That's-
right. So but at one point you will reach to this consistency, right? And it is pretty simple, as you can see. It is all forming. It is not like when I put it on a plate or something, it is not bleeding. You see, there is no water coming out of it, Let's see if I can, for instance, if I show you right now, like on a plate, so this is where you should reach. See, it is holding itself, and there is no water coming out from any side or anything, Simple. I mean, like once you do it one time, you will get a hang of it. Like it's very simple. You cannot go wrong. So I'm gonna go to the next step now, and we're gonna see what we do. We're just gonna put our measured amount of baking powder in here. That's it. And then we pour it together. We fold it all well.
So what's the reason? Why do you add the baking powder in the bowl instead of in the food processor?
Well, the thing is that adding the baking powder in the food processor, see, remember, as I told you, so there is a couple of things like, I want to tell you that people would ask me all the time was what is the difference between a baking soda and a baking powder, okay? So the baking soda is an alkali that needs one acid to react with it, and of course a moisture and right temperature. Okay, so that is the baking soda. But baking powder, there is the alkali already, and then there is the acid, and they are put together in a mix. But the only component missing, and that is the catalyst that's missing in there, is the moisture. Okay.
Okay.
So the moisture is missing in there. So it is moisture hungry. And then after that, the moisture comes from this mix. And the moment it gets the moisture, and on top of that, when it gets more acid, that is the lemon juice, it starts reacting vigorously. That's why I don't want to put it over here, because we are whipping it. So whatever air it will produce, whatever carbon dioxide will produce, it will escape. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's an idea, no? So see, if you feel it, it's like fluffy, you know. Like if I hit it like this, you can feel the fluff here, you know, like this. Okay. So it's get little fluffy, right? So this is one of the trick in there. And
How much baking soda did you put on baking powder did you put in it?
no, I put like one, what we wrote in the recipe, 1 tablespoon. In
Oh.
that recipe. Yeah, I had baked falafel. Yeah, half teaspoon. So it's a
Half a teaspoon. Okay.
Half teaspoon, yeah, half teaspoon. Because it's like you can feel it like it's fluffy, you know. It's making the gas already, you know, in there. So now after this, now we are ready with this recipe. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna scoop it, and then you can spoon it or scoop it if you don't have a food portioning scoop. Doesn't matter. We spray. I'm gonna show you the spray. I'm spraying right now. We spray the tray real well with the non-stick spray, and then we would just go and scoop it.
So that what he's using is a 1 ounce scoop. So that's the equivalent of 2 tablespoons or an 1/8 of a cup. So you can make them bigger if you want. They just might take a little longer to cook.
But the smaller size is better for the reason you get more crust, more crunch. Then instead of having a huge ball of falafel, which will be like a little bit kind of raw and too moist inside, you know. And then the thing is that we are starting with the raw garbanzo beans, so they got to cook through properly, otherwise they will not taste good.
And also, if you want to put them inside of a pita pocket to eat them, then the smaller they are, the better. Makes it easier to eat.
So now this is our falafel. Yeah, and also it's not a compulsion that you scoop it like that. You can make like how it is traditionally made. They never use a scoop, and they make it like a kifte style, like a small football, like, you know, so that you can make it like that or however you want. You can form it together. You can make it into a flat patty as well. If its application is like that, you can form it into kind of patty, and then after that and then leave it to bake. Okay. So now we're gonna go to the next process, and that's going to be, we're going to start with something else.
So with the plan of work, like Rahul said, the falafel only takes 20 minutes to cook, but it's going to take us a little longer than 20 minutes to do all the other stuff we're doing. So he's not going to put it in the oven just yet. He wants to wait until it's going to be 20 minutes left of the remaining recipes, and then he's going to put it in, so that way everything comes out right around the same time.
Now, what we're going to work on is we're going to take the sauce that we talk about, and we're going to work on the yogurt sauce. And I said we're going to work on the cucumber first, and then we're going to stop. And the reason is why. I'm explaining now.
So Shalu, were you able to hear the blender working? No?
No, I'm still waiting. I just tried it again. I was like, oh.
Oh man. Well, we can move on to the sauces, and you can pick the rest of that up later. And the sauces are fine. Yeah, the sauces can stay in the refrigerator while you're baking the falafel, so it's no worries.
Yeah, I must not have seen the recipes for the sauces because I didn't cut up the ingredients. I don't know why.
Oh,
Maybe I didn't scroll all the way down.
Oh, yeah, it was like a few pages in the document. But
oh, okay. I think I got as far as the eggplant. That was it.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. We can show you. And these are
That's
super,
right. I'll watch the video. Yeah.
yeah, they're super easy to make.
So here I have Greek yogurt, I have peanuts, I have dill, I have little lemon juice, salt, and I have cucumber which has been diced. Now this cucumber is a regular cucumber, that is hothouse cucumber that you can get in the market. You peel it and you grate it or dice it however you may like. But the only thing is that what we're going to do to this right now is we're going to salt it, because cucumber has a huge percentage of moisture in it, and we're going to salt it and we're going to squeeze it, and you will see how much moisture is released. So we're going to take this salt right here and we're going to sprinkle it generously on top.
So yeah, this is like a scientific, this is like food science at work. So you're adding salt to the cucumber so that it releases the moisture, and then you can squeeze out the extra water, because we don't want that extra water in this sauce.
So we don't want it to be watery, because like you don't want to have a falafel with a dripping sauce, you know. That's the reason why we're doing this, right? So now we have salted this, and we're going to leave this cucumber to sit with the salt for a little bit until we make the chermoula, and then we'll come back and see what happens to the cucumber. Okay.
Yep.
So I have a question. So if somebody has high blood pressure and you're trying not to add salt, would you have them do something else with the cucumber?
Yeah. Well, what we can do is, like, we can take a small cloth, right, and then after that, like a cheesecloth or a side towel, and we can put all the cucumber in that, and then squeeze it really, like how we do a bonbon. Squeeze it, and how much water comes out of it, if something drips, well and good, and otherwise the rest of it gets absorbed inside the towel. Okay.
And also the smaller you cut up the cucumber, if you like mince it really small, it will start to release the water, and that will help you squeeze it out easier.
Okay.
And then also if you grate it in the grater, it exposes more of the surface area, and then that helps to squeeze the water out of it. Okay. Right, so that's the easy process of it. Okay?
I've done that before, grating, grating it.
Yeah. So we're gonna wait on that piece, and then we're gonna go back to making the chermoula. So let me see.
Yeah. So we're putting the yogurt sauce aside for now, because we're gonna let that cucumber sit for a little bit, and now we're gonna move on to the chermoula sauce. So we gave you two options for sauces with this. They're not. It's not necessary to make two sauces. We just wanted to give you two examples. They bring two very different flavors to this. So like a cucumber yogurt sauce is traditionally like Greek, like tzatziki sauce, where the chermoula is more like North African, I think, right, Rahul?
Yeah, it is more North African, but also it comes under Mediterranean, because the southern part of the Mediterranean Sea is touching the northern part of Africa, which has a large influence on the whole Mediterranean cuisine, because that being the major route for all the ships and all the cargo coming from Asia onwards going to Portugal and Spain. So like Sicily and the southern part of Italy was, and the Strait of Gibraltar, those were one of the main getaways. I mean, like I said, they were the sea highways for all this trade to happen, and so did the cuisine migrated from one spot to other, and that's a very interesting geographical story, you know, but that's how it is, you know. So now we're going to start with the chermoula. Now chermoula is generally, like, if you see what ingredients I'm going to use, let me show you the ingredients first. So chermoula is basically similar to pesto. So in the pesto we do not cook garlic, we do not cook the cheese, we do not cook the olive oil, we do not cook anything, and it's just the basil that is chopped up, mixed well with pine nuts and your grated Parmesan cheese and olive oil and salt, pepper. That's it, right? You know, and little bit of acid, if little squirt of lemon juice. So it is all like made at home. So in the olden days, there were no machines like this, as you know. So what was even they didn't have the hand mill or food mill or anything like that. So mostly it was a stone mortar and the pestle, and then after that they used to put everything in there and then grind it with that, or just chop it up. So that used to make that sauce. So it is a chunky sauce put together and binded by the oil and little bit of lemon juice and all that. So same way, in the same process, it is a different kind of little bit of pesto, but here there is no cheese. Okay, so now what we do is here we take 2 parts of parsley, and again you can adjust it, right? I take 2 part of parsley, 1 part of cilantro. Okay, and there are also variation of this that when people add mint to that. Okay, mint, and then we'll come to the point. And then after that, here we have the garlic, same as like as we would be making pesto. Little bit of paprika. Then I have here lemon juice, salt, pepper, cumin. That's all, right? So now this, and even though it's a good example that even though if you don't have a blender, now if this is all finely chopped, so we can do it 2 ways if you want. We can mix it up in a mixing bowl, like as if it was generally done, or we can go into the machine and buzz it. Okay, so it is two options that we can do. If either way is right. Okay, so the only thing is that before you use it, it will settle down a little bit, and before you using on your falafel, you have to stir it a little bit to mix it up well, and then you can lace your falafel with that. Okay. So, but anyway, since I have the machine set up here, I'm going to show you to go that way, right? So, process is very simple. All the items, there is no leavening here or anything else, and this is very tasty sauce. If you make it, you will love it, and you can keep it for up to 7 days, you know. And actually, at home, I keep it for even more than that, you know, because it doesn't spoil. So it is nothing bad in that. So I'm going to put my cilantro, then my parsley, and again I said you can mix it without a machine. You don't need to. You need that. You don't need that. But the only thing is that you have to chop it real well. So you see how we have chopped this. You take a good time to chop it. Then I put my garlic in there, my cayenne pepper. Oh, sorry, my paprika, lemon juice, oil, salt, pepper, and my cumin. So all the ingredients are in the same time, right?
All right. So Shogo, are you caught up? All the ingredients go in at the same time.
I got it. Got it.
Okay, perfect.
So all the ingredients same time, and you just buzz it slow, and you don't need to. And you see how fast this happens. Okay, we're gonna do in a short buzz. Look, watch.
And also what's great about this sauce is that it's a very like heart healthy sauce. It's just a whole bunch of plants. So herbs and spices and lemon juice. So it's all the different plant-based flavors. Yes, there is salt and pepper, but there doesn't have to be. So yeah, this is a great sauce to have.
And then this is done. We're all set. It's all chopped. I'm gonna take one of these bowls and I'm gonna scrape it and show you how does it look like. So it looked like basically all put together like this. Now again, there could be other recipe of chermoula using more olive oil in that, but again we said we don't want something dripping, but still have the same taste. Okay? Because for the application that we are forcing to use it for, does not warrant it to be too runny. Okay?
Right.
And then if you're storing into your, I'll tell you what to do if you have to store it in your refrigerator, because this is going to stay for a good amount of time. And you can, again, feel free to add or reduce the spices that you want to put in and the amount of oil you want to put in and like that, right? So we're going to go here and then machine.
So something to note, one of the reasons why we gave you two sauce options is because this one is just strictly plant-based, just lots of green. The other one with the yogurt base, the Greek yogurt base, is actually a protein source. So if you're concerned about the amount of protein in your plant-based meal with the falafel, you can add this yogurt sauce, which personally I use as like a staple in my house with lots of, you know, I eat mostly plant-based meals at home. So adding yogurt as an additional protein is awesome, nice and filling.
Yeah, so right now, as you see, it is pretty chunky. And then for the application of what we are going to use it for, it is perfect because we can just put like this, like it holds by itself into the falafel, and it is very good to eat, very good eatable. But like if you may want at your home, you want to store it, you may put it and you can add a little bit more oil to that. Like I'll show you. Like if you want to use it, say example, if you want to use it on a steak, okay, so if you, and then it goes real well with any grilled meat, with chicken or anything. So I put a little bit more oil in there and then mix it up. Just a little bit moist. and it's ready to go. And this will store even well in your fridge. So like you would take a little bit of piece of that and then smear it on the meat or however you want, right?
It's
So
not that fine. It's not like a mint chutney kind of consistency at all.
Mint chutney is very thin. It's like a puree. It's
Right.
almost puree, but this is a chunky.
Okay,
like
yeah.
a pesto-y thing, like see,
Okay.
holds, so it holds itself. So now.
And also just know that the olive oil, if you do put that in your fridge, olive oil kind of solidifies when it's cold. But all you have to do is just bring it out to room temp and just let it sit while you're cooking the rest of your meal, and it'll be fine. Or you can add it to your pan and heat it up, and the oil will come back to liquid.
Okay.
Okay, so chermoula is done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this falafel and put it inside, because as we said, our timeline, we have two more ingredients to prepare, and it's going to go fast, such that by this time this will get ready. Okay, so I'm going to go and pop it in the oven that has been preheated at 350 degrees, and I'm going to put a timer for like about 15 minutes and check it, and then I will increase the timer most probably to go another 5 minutes. So it is always good to have, like if you are making a recipe and the recipe calls for a time, say 20 minutes. So it is always safe. Of course, you have to preheat the oven, check it that is not too overheated or not underheated. And then after that you put in there and you go like about 75, when the 75% time is over, that time you would go and check it one time. So like how it's going to behave from there on. Okay. So I'm going to put it in the oven and I'll be back in another second.
So not only is this like a heart healthy plant-based meal, but eating plant-based, or I should say plant forward. Plant-based means it's just from plants. Plant forward means it's mostly plants. We do have the yogurt sauce, so I'll call it plant forward instead. Eating a plant forward meal is also very sustainable. As I'm sure you both already know, beef and lamb especially make a huge impact on our carbon footprints. So if we can reduce the amount of, especially beef and lamb, and also any other animal products or meat specifically, then we are, doing a big service to our planet and also to ourselves. So Rahul's gonna get started on the eggplant. It looks like plugging in.
We're gonna do one thing before we start with the eggplant, because I'm gonna get this thing going up such that it's like heated up. But meanwhile, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk a little bit about what we did with the cucumber right now. Okay, such that the sauce is done quickly.
So we're going back to now.
So we're going back to the cucumber now, and then here, what I'm gonna do and show you that this is a simple towel, kitchen towel, and you will see how much water it will draw.
So you can use a cheesecloth or like a thick paper towel, or even just like a very fine sieve strainer. But you can see how much liquid I'll show you there. And one unfortunate thing is whenever you see that the liquid you're going to discard has a color to it, that does mean that you are losing some of the vitamins that provide it that color. So some of the chlorophyll providing the green color in this, in cucumbers is being lost, but the remaining cucumber is green too. So you still have nutritional benefit in there.
But this, as Eliza said, that there's a lot of nutrition in this. This could be cross-utilized to season any of the other vegetable that you're going to stew, braise, do anything with that, or cooking lentils or anything that can go in there, right? So there's so much of water that has come out of it, and this is what you see. So this water taken out from here is a plus, because here we go, and we empty out our cucumber is right here, and then we go and we're going to finish it off with our other ingredients. So it's very simple. We said, remember the salt is already there. We're going to put our yogurt in there. And dill accompanies the yogurt very well, and also the peanuts. This is a very tasty sauce. So you put our peanuts in there.
And those are dry roasted, unsalted peanuts.
Dry roasted. Yeah. and then after that we put the lemon juice inside to filters, and then after that we just go and mix it. Either you do with a hand or with a palette, with a spatula or however. And then this is our simple yogurt sauce that is ready. So now you see it is not running or anything, is holding itself. So that is a perfect way where how it's supposed to be going inside the falafel. And then I'm gonna just store it.
And yogurt sauce can be modified. You can add fresh garlic. You can add a lot more lemon juice if you like. You can add black pepper. There are so many different things you can add to yogurt sauce depending on what you like and to make it the consistency that you want. If you like to,
so again, we said,
if you like to like drizzle it over your vegetables, then you can add some olive oil to it, or you can add extra lemon juice or some water. But yeah,
this is the consistency how it comes out.
Yeah.
So now here we have two of our sauces ready. Right here is our chermoula, and then here is our peanut. So these two sauces stay on the side, and we proceed with the next recipe. Now the next recipe is one that adds a lot of flavor, and it is made out of eggplant. So eggplant is one of a kind. Is like it's a very underutilized vegetable that has been understood as, and in Mediterranean, and of course in the southern part of, like as I said, southern part of Italy and most of the southern Europe and eastern part of it, and on northern Africa, eggplant is grown abundantly, especially heavily used in Turkish cuisine, heavily used in Moroccan cuisine.
Yep. So Rahul, I'm gonna mute you now because that that induction burner that he's using causes a lot of like weird audio feedback. So you're muted now, Rahul, just so you know. And I'm gonna walk you through this process. I can't hear you, Rahul, so you can't talk. I'll talk you through. So he's got the eggplant there. He's sliced it about 1/4 inch thick, maybe a 1/2 inch thick, and the pan is on high. And what he did with those eggplant slices is he punctured them with a fork. Another thing you can do is like slice them shallowly, kind of like a crosshatch, but puncturing them with a fork is just as easy because you can, although eggplant is very porous already, by puncturing it with the fork, you're allowing even more of the liquids that you're going to use to cook this to seep into it. And just the flavor gets dispersed throughout the entire thing. And eggplant itself is a really mildly flavored vegetable, which I think is part of the reason why some people shy away from it, because they're not really sure what to add to it to make it kind of taste good. But this again is where the spices and everything come in. So he's adding the canola oil to a very hot pan, and we want it to be on high heat, very hot, because that is what is going to give the eggplant a good sear. So he's going to put it down, and you want to hear it sizzle. You can see the bubbles coming up from underneath. So that eggplant is definitely sizzling. And he's adding a little bit of salt because, again, salt helps the moisture come out of the eggplant. So it helps it get more crispy. So he's added the salt and pepper to it. You can also season it with salt and pepper before you put it in the pan if you like, but either way, doesn't matter. So he's going to let them sit there for a little while to make sure they get nice and hot, but you want to be sure that that pan is very hot on high. So put your fan on in your stove, Make sure you don't get too smoky in there. And yeah, he's pressing down on them to make sure that they are flush with the pan, getting nice and seared. So another very well-known eggplant dish that's common in Mediterranean diets is baba ganoush. So that is like a Middle Eastern dish that's got tahini and lemon juice, a lot of the same flavors: salt, pepper, lemon juice, oil. Oh, he's pushing down on the eggplant and it's sizzling right through it. So you know that he's punctured that eggplant well and the oil's coming right through. That's great. And the moisture from the eggplant is coming out. That's what we want. And looks like it's getting a little smoky in there, some steam coming up from the moisture. All right, so it's starting to turn color now. And if you want to leave it longer than that to sear, you can. But his is starting to get brown, darker brown on that side, so he flipped it over. And because eggplant has such a delicate flavor on its own, it's able to take on so many other flavors. So this is the balsamic vinegar. And he's adding that to the pan. Balsamic vinegar is an excellent way to get a lot of flavor without, you know, sodium and any undesirable nutrients. All right, so he's turning the heat down now, all the way down, because we don't want, once you add the balsamic vinegar, by heating it, it becomes a balsamic glaze. You can see like how it kind of just evaporated. The moisture just like is gone. And now you're left with the sweetness. So it becomes this thick, like sour glaze. And look at how dark the eggplant is now. It takes on the color of the balsamic vinegar, and that soaked all the way through. When we tested this recipe a few weeks ago, I ate it for lunch because I was obsessed with it. It was the most delicious thing I've ever had. So yeah, the balsamic vinegar just cooks right off. So now he's got fennel seeds. So these add a really, again, sort of like a delicate flavor. If you've ever had like sausage, like Italian sausage that has fennel seeds in it, and you know when you bite into a fennel seed, because it's a totally different kind of flavor. And that he's drizzling on there is pomegranate molasses.
And what can I substitute that for?
The pomegranate molasses? Mm-hmm. So the reason he's adding it is because it gives sweetness to it. You could, I mean, any type of like thick sweetener like that, like honey could be good too. Or if you have sweetness elsewhere in your dish, then there's no need to also add sweetness here. But this dish in itself has like the sour flavor, the sweet flavor. It has the floral fennel seeds. It's got the like the savory toasted pine nuts. You're getting so many different flavors and textures in this one side. And he's adding the mint. I forgot about the mint. That even adds even more, more fresh herbal flavor. So lots of non-sodium flavor in this dish for sure. And yeah, the pomegranate molasses is not necessary. You have so many other components to this. It was just another layer of trying to add, you know, there's the 5 taste sensations, sour, sweet, savory, all that. So the more you add, the more satisfying the dish is. So he's just drizzling a little bit of olive oil over the top of this now. And again, this is not required. This is just if you want. It adds like a sheen to the herbs. This can also be done when you put it on your plate. You can just drizzle some olive oil over top. But he's letting it sit in the pan so it soaks up all of that balsamic vinegar. So it looks like, is your induction burner off now? I can unmute you. All right, you have to click with the mouse that I gave you, Rahul, to unmute.
So I have to say that since our last cooking, I've had three or four requests to have made that same dish like last time. We're in fact having it again tonight, the blood orange gastrique with the seared salmon.
That's awesome. So what, your family has requested this?
Yes.
That's so great. I'm so glad. That's awesome.
Very popular at home.
That's great. Rahul, did you hear that?
Yeah, I hear that. That's amazing.
That's amazing.
And this is a 21-year-old niece who's all into pizzas usually.
Wow. Wow.
Great.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that.
So here, I heard that question, and so although I was muted that time, but the thing is, like if you want a sweetener a little bit over here, you can go with anything healthy that you can do little agave or anything, because the whole idea is to have a sweet and sour taste. That's the whole thing. That because as much as there is the sugar content and sweetness in the balsamic vinegar, but it need, and once it evaporates and then you get like more tart, So to balance it, we need little sweetening, just a little bit, a touch of sweetening, touch and go. So like, because the very important thing is that when you have a sweet and a sour with little flavor and a crunch, the crunch is the nuts in there, and then also the fennel seed, that's a time capsule. When you bite into it, it gives you the flavor right then. And then after that, you have your mint to complement it all together. So they all marry real well, and they go really well. And as much as this dish is a byproduct, or I say halfway there, of making another dish that they use a lot in Mediterranean area, is like they put some goat cheese on top and then gratinate it, and it becomes a side dish to be on your table, and it is very highly revered. It's like eaten up. It's eaten like in many of the very good restaurants, and this is one of the sides for some of the antipasties and some starters and like that, because it cleanses the palate. That's the idea about it.
I've had an eggplant sitting in my fridge for a while, so I just cut it up and I will work on it later.
That's what comes, you know.
Exciting. Thank you guys. I have to run, but that was
Okay.
All right, cool. Have a good one.
Thank you for joining.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm gonna bring the falafel now.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. So he's bringing the falafel out of the oven now. He's checking on it. Let's see. I'll remove this. So how's it going for you guys, Shogo?
I think you should be okay.
Yeah, you guys are okay. I know Rahul works quick. It's
Okay.
a little hard to keep up. Hi.
Hi. Nuts, not nuts. Where's nuts? Oh, yes.
That eggplant he's holding.
Now,
それは分からないじゃん。大丈夫？種ちょっとやってないの？
here we're gonna assemble the falafel, and let me show you how the falafel looks like. So the eggplant looks like this right now, and then when the falafel come out, and like as you know, that I had put it in for a little bit of time. You see the color? If you can get it,
Yeah.
I'll get it up for you.
Wow.
You see?
Looks.
Oh, yum. Great.
It should be okay.
And then what we're gonna do, we can use it as it is. We can use this, and our two sauces, and there's a dish by itself. Okay.
取っちゃってるのともちゃん。何取っちゃうの？種が。
But now what we're gonna do, we're gonna kind of make.
Ooh, that looks great.
Is it?
Yay.
I think you have to give it a little bit longer if it is not cooked.
Do you guys have pita, or did we give that to you? Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh.
That looks exactly like yours.
I'm just
awesome.
yeah, they look great. So I'm just gonna show one example with the pita. Right?
ピタね。
ああ、
Okay.
これ買ってみたいね。
Yeah. So this is one example. You don't have to eat the falafel this way, but this is just one way that is commonly eaten.
What we would do, we would just take some of this, put it as a spread on one side, right? And then we're gonna take some chermoula and put on the other side. So you get the
Yeah.
both,
So we've got both sauces in there.
both sauces in there, and then we're gonna line it up with an eggplant like this, and then another one like this right here with all the extra nuts and stuff in here, and then we're gonna put falafel inside here. And falafel you will have to open and check them if they are all the way done. Because that you have to judge, because you see these are cooked in a commercial oven, so they are like pretty well done here. And then after that you put one here, and then other one like right here, and then after that a little bit more sauce of your choice, and a little bit yogurt on there, and this makes a perfect sandwich right here.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
That's
And there's so much flavor in that.
Yeah, looks so tasty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nicely
But
done.
yeah, even without the pita, you have all the same ingredients in front of you, so you can choose to eat it however you want.
So
Yeah.
if it's without pita, you would just go here and let me show you what you would like to do. You just
Oh, look at this.
see, this here, put one eggplant,
Mm-hmm.
another eggplant, and then after that, you're gonna put the yogurt sauce on top of it. Yeah, I'm gonna show you very close up. Okay, and then here, and then after that, we will take our falafel and place it right on top. Okay, and then we make our plate and put a little bit of chermoula just to help.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
And then after that, we're just gonna do a little bit of the magic oil on this. There we go.
Did you say the magic oil?
Yeah, it's the olive oil. You know? That makes it. So this is your dish.
Great, that looks awesome.
Yeah, looks perfect.
Yeah. So this could be one of the dishes that you may want to make when you invite your friends to eat at home and you want to show them and say, hey, this is what I want to cook. This is what I
Right.
can do, you know. So this is a
Yeah.
whole main course by itself. A lot of protein, lot of flavors, and easy to go. Very, very easy to go, you know, and easy to make. And
Yeah.
the only critical thing is that when you're cooking at home, what you would do, you will check your falafel that is done. You see this color is nice here,
Mm-hmm.
and then you open it up inside and see that is not raw. So this one is not raw. So you should not look. So let me show you because you are making at home, and this is how the raw one looks. So you see the color of the raw is more whitish, and this
I
one
see.
is more cooked. You see?
I see.
Yeah. So it's a little difference in the color. Okay. That's how you know it is not raw. Okay.
Okay.
That's all. That's all I wanted, you know. And then if you want to put some, like if we did the falafel, if you want some, you can put some more space. If you have here, you can put cucumber, tomatoes, and like for example, I would say like some garnish like this. Like usually it is with like few specks of lettuce or garnish or something tomato like this, and it will make a whole perfect sandwich for you. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's great.
All right. So that's where we are. Now, do you have any questions?
Yeah, do you guys have any questions?
No, I think it's okay. Do you have
Yeah.
question?
You want to check your falafel if they're done?
Yeah.
梨の上にたこ焼き乗せるの
Yeah. I'm still struggling to, make it looks better.
Are you plating it now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
それ乗せるの
So another thing about the falafel, so Rahul said you want to be sure it's not raw on the inside, but
Yeah.
even if it isn't cooked fully, there's no like harmful ingredients that need to be fully cooked. There's no meat, you know, or anything that has to be cooked to a certain temperature or anything like that. It's all plants. So that's not the concern. It's just that you want it to be fully cooked so it tastes the best.
Yep. So that's the fun of cooking, you know.
Right. I want to see your plate when it's all done.
Yeah, sorry for that.
So how did we do with the pace? Were we going too fast?
No, it's okay. We enjoy the process.
Good.
Yogurt sauce?
ここにある
Just a moment.
So Rahul, do you have any other suggestions for how falafel can be served? Or
Well, it could be a main course by itself, or it could be a side dish too, depending on. You can have it as a main course with 2 more ingredients, like maybe make a small salad that goes on the side. Then if you want to do eggplant on the plate, and then you have the falafel by itself with the 2 dipping sauces, and that should be a meal by itself, if you look at it. And I think it is more preferred to be a lunchtime meal, you So it is real good to have it during the lunchtime because it's lighter and that way. But in the dinner time, again, you can have it. But falafel could always be a side for the main course if you are cooking any meat or even if you're cooking any other stuff to go with it.
Right.
All right, so yeah, we done. Can you see it?
Ooh,
Oh, great. Nice.
that's gorgeous.
Hang of it. Yeah.
Yay.
Unfortunately, the sauces hide the eggplant, but
Oh yeah. The
What?
eggplant's underneath.
yeah, it looks so nice and smells so good.
Yeah, you should taste
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
食べるのが
That's great. Wait
Awesome.
until you try all these flavors together. They are so delicious. They all complement each other. Sour, sweet, savory, salty, everything in one dish. It's
Wow, sounds great.
yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we kept you over 6 o'clock. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Have a
hopefully
good
we'll
one.
see you again soon.
Yeah,
Thank
Okay.
you. Bye.
Have a great night. Bye.
you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
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 めっちゃ